last administration, coalition government, built this structure. Right, that's the 1763 monument behind those trees. Right, that's the 1763 monument behind the trees for reference. And this set of buildings was built under the coalition government and is now abandoned by the PPPC. So that's what I want to draw your attention to. So over here, I think this is St. Sidwell's, the school and the church on Hatfield Street. And this structure, which has now been left to rot under the new government, is what the APNU-AFC built during their 5 years in office as a place for their meetings. So this is another political structure. So we're talking about this video is new developments in political infrastructure being built in Guyana. We've seen the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, the GT&T building, which used to be Guyana's government-owned telephone company. We can see in the distance that's the Cuba Lodge, that's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs over there. And over here, we've seen that's Castellani House. It is a national monument. We'll take a closer look at it in the next video. And here is what is happening to political infrastructure in Guyana. And the reason for pointing this out is to show you how disjointed development is in Guyana. It's haphazard, it is chaotic and wasteful. So I don't know how much money was spent to build this arena. I remember when they started identifying this as a location, that is Durban Park, to build this structure, I thought this would be a good location to put a arena, let's say like right, this is what's happening, it's falling apart. So I thought this would be a good place to build like a tennis center or a mini golf course, you know, sort of a 9-hole golf course, or more importantly, let's say a closed arena where you could host like 20 or 30,000, 50,000 people, you know, a covered arena like the Madison Square Garden, for example, or like the National Tennis Center in New York, in Queens, where they have outer courts and the center court that now has a cover, right? I remember the days when I used to attend the National Tennis Center, US Open Championships, when center court did not have a cover, and so if it rained it would stop the matches. Now they have a cover, and I'm thinking Guyana in the 21st century would be building something in that realm. Instead, this is what they built, and it's now falling apart, it's rotting, it's a waste, a total waste of money, because the current government has no interest in either maintaining or even redeveloping this area. Now this would be a great place, like I said, to put a national stadium, a national exhibition center that is covered, that is a lot like the you know, basketball arenas, like the Staples Center in Los Angeles, or like Madison Square Garden, or like the Coliseum, right? This would be the location, a prime location to place that kind of infrastructure, you know, a kind of a national stadium, so that you could have major events that are protected from the weather, covered, hold 50,000 people, have several levels, and have you know, places to host events like tennis and golf or some indoor concerts, you know, like major performances, major exhibitions, major expos, you know, conventions. Something that you could host a sporting event, an indoor sporting event that can hold 50,000, 60,000, 100,000 people. That is what I thought we'd be able to do. But what happened under the last government and under this government is there's a total lack of vision, a total lack of ambition. Like I said, the last government decided, that is the APNU-AFC government, decided to create a park on Merriman's Mall. And this new government decided to abandon that project and to create their own park on the Train Line embankment. And this is a similar situation. The last government decided to create a stadium, outdoor stadium with these wooden pavilions, which was a bad idea. The new government decided to abandon this idea instead of revising it. For example, tearing down these structures, maybe salvaging some of the material that can be salvaged and building something bigger and better, like a major exhibition center, like an indoor concert venue, like Madison Square Garden, right? That is the ambition that I had. In fact, when this land was all open and there was nothing here, I thought, you know, this would be a great location to build, you know, 16 tennis courts and center court, like you have in New York, or maybe a 9-hole golf course that would stretch all the way to that new fire station on Homestretch Avenue. But of course, none of that was to be, because nobody has that kind of vision. Nobody's really thinking that far ahead. Good afternoon. Nobody wants to take responsibility for any major ambitious projects that can transform the nation. Everybody is short-sighted and small-minded and really greedy in terms of trying to grab as much of the resources of the country for themselves, right? It's kind of a selfish way to run the country, because if you notice, the politicians are the ones who are getting wealthy in this country. Like I said, I have no brief for any political party, so any of these statements that I make are in fact quite apolitical. But in fact, because I'm here, because I'm still in Guyana, I can show you what the impact of the short-sightedness is doing to the country on both sides. This is a total waste of resources, a waste of material, waste of time. It's no longer a venue that is safe to use, right? Now we're talking about development. This is prime land. Look at what's happening with this structure, falling apart, completely abandoned by the current government simply because it was built by the previous government. This is what's happening here at Durban Park in Guyana, and the reason for it is political short-sightedness. There are so many ways in which this land and this park could be used, right? It's quite large. I used to come out here and run on the track in the mornings because I was doing speed training, trying to run a mile in 6 minutes. So I'd run 3 times around this track. Gave me a mile, because each loop around this track is about 1/3 of a mile. I could measure it with my GPS, and so I was speed training here on a weekday morning. Instead of running up the coast to cover my 10 miles, I'd come out here and see if I can run a mile in 6 minutes. I got pretty close. I don't think I actually broke the 6-minute mile goal that I set for myself. But you know, you could see this as more than just abandoned pavilions. It has the potential to be so much more, and it's being wasted in a time when the country is growing very, very rapidly. And you know, this kind of real estate is in demand, and it should be used to build like something inspiring, something major, you know, like a new monument, meaning like, you know, as big as say the Burj Khalifa. You know, this is a central location in the city. You could build something inspiring like a, you know, a skyscraper or something, or you could build a World Trade Center out here. But this is what's happening, guys. It's completely falling apart. It's the other side of development. I show you the things that are changing, the things that are gotten better in Guyana. This has gotten worse, and it's totally for political reasons and because of the short-sightedness. So those of you who think that I'm criticizing the politics of one political party or the other, in fact, my criticism is of both. So don't get excited because I don't have a favorite among politicians. I think all of our politicians in Guyana are substandard, deficient, and lack any kind of vision for this country. And if you're offended, then I'm sorry, that's on you. I don't really care. I have an independent lens, and that lens I'm throwing entirely on the country at this point because it's the fastest growing country. Some things are being done well, but most of it, like this, is really the product of stupidity, absolute stupidity. So this structure is also falling apart. You can see there are broken windows here. Right, this used to be a pavilion that dignitaries and politicians and world leaders would sit on and stand on during major events. But now, of course, it's all rotting and falling apart. Right, that's what's happening here at Durban Park in Georgetown, Guyana. So that's up, guys. That's what's up, guys. That's what's happening here in Durban Park. We're talking about development. This is the point where they had the tallest flagpole. There is no flag flying up there anymore. Somebody took the flag down. So that you see the state of things. This is a candid look at infrastructure that is falling apart, that is actually in the hands of the government, and is falling apart for only political reasons. This is in fact inside, underneath the pavilion, right? It's falling apart, it's rotting, it's being destroyed by termites, and that's the end of billions of dollars spent on infrastructure in Guyana. So that's what's up, guys. That's what's happening here at Durban Park. In the next video, I'll show you changes that are happening on Kroll Street and South Road. But if you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening here in Georgetown, Guyana. Remember, you can support this channel by visiting some of my platforms. I have 23 companies I'm working on, 25 in the process of building. You can go check, I'll put a link in the description below. You can go check online where my latest store called Olivia's Corner sells chocolates and wine and cheese and snacks and so on. oliviascorner.rnbrand.uk, and you can go to my merchandise site where I sell Guyanese made merchandise and channel merchandise are in brand.uk, and check out all the other companies that I'm building online. Share this video with friends and family. Let people know what's happening here in Georgetown, Guyana. Later! Some guys catching fish in the French here in Georgetown. They don't look like they know what they're doing. What are you catching? They're looking for tilapia. These guys are catching tilapia. So let's go on to Kroll Street.